Hey, I am coming to you today with secret number 3 for real organized moms. See a funky little hair there. Today, once again, I've got notes. So if you see my eyes darting down, I'm just looking at my notes. In talking about getting real organized and feeling like you own motherhood, I want to chat today about being organized with raising our kids. And I know that might sound weird because really, how in the heck do we be organized with raising kids? You know what? We actually can. And so before we get into that secret, the secret of being real organized with our parenting, I want to say hi. I'm Casey from the blog The Real Thing with the Koch family at realcoke.com. And I know that most moms feel stressed and overwhelmed much of the day. So I created the Real Organized Mom email class. And in it, I teach moms simple organization systems that create freedom in their home. And that gives them time to then be able to do some things they enjoy, like maybe have a little crafty fun or tackle the DIY they've been wanting to tackle. So it's all just happiness all around, right? All right, so how's it going? For those of you who have tuned in for secret number 1 and secret number 2, how's it going applying the real organized secrets that you've learned so far? Remember, your calendar is one thing you've done and your mom office. So I would absolutely love if I could cheer you on. And so if you would be willing to share a picture of maybe your planner or your calendar or maybe all the cards all pulled together on Instagram and either tag me at RealCoke or use the hashtag RealOrganizedMom. And then I am checking that hashtag and I will see it. And if you're okay with it, I may share it in my stories. That would be so cool. I would just absolutely love to cheer you on. So, okay. Now, I really hope that you've been able to get some stuff done on your calendar and that you are starting to feel some of that freedom that I have talked about and some of that just like lifting of that stress and getting that mom office together, that next little step that helps in the maintenance, the keeping up of stuff. So I know you haven't had that long to use these systems yet, which is one of the advantages of the Real Organized email class, because you get to put it into practice and then you have a week to work on it and put it into practice, and then we add the next thing. And it feels less overwhelming than this day, a project each day kind of thing. So keep that in mind, that the email class, when you sign up for it, it's designed to be just once a week. And of the 4,000 moms that have gone through it, everyone that's given me feedback has said that they love the timing of getting an email once a week and having a full week to work on the project. So I realize that these videos are going really quickly and might be a little overwhelming giving you stuff to do. So, but even though you haven't had long to use them yet, from my experience, both of those things, your calendar and your mom office, are going to help you in your day-to-day life. And they're going to help you in that battle of staying on top of everything that you do for your family. Okay, the camera keeps zooming in and out, and it's kind of driving me nuts. Hopefully nobody else is knowing that. I'll try to come a little closer and see if that helps. Okay, so today in talking about getting real organized, you are going to learn about being organized with your parenting. And as usual, I've got 3 steps for you. So like all of the steps in the Real Organized class, why is it doing that? It's so annoying. Okay, they're really easy. Let's go back. Maybe that'll be better. Why is it constantly adjusting? I'm hoping you guys can't see that. What I see on the screen is it's constantly zooming in and out, and it's driving me nuts. Okay. So back to being organized with parenting and not my distraction with the camera. Okay, nothing that I'm teaching you is that hard, and I'm sure you've noticed that, and probably it's not necessarily even new information for you. But it's putting it all together, and it's putting the systems into place in your house, and then that maintaining that we just talked about. And they make huge changes for both you and your family. So let's get back to being organized as parents. Step 1 is to decide what you want your kids to be responsible for. So sounds pretty basic. I've already said this stuff is all pretty simple, right? So I always evaluate what my kids are responsible for based on their age and based on skills I want to make sure that they know before they leave my house. So, and it's one of those, if you're familiar with Stephen Covey, he has a principle, begin with the end in mind. As parents, if we can begin with the end in mind, then at age appropriate levels, we can begin adding those tasks to our kids and as responsibilities. And even just in small little steps, we can add those for our kids. So for example, do you want your kids to know how to do laundry? Do you want them to know how to cook? Do you want them to know how to grocery shop? Use a checking account, maybe to use a credit card? Do you want them to know how to drive? What do you want your kids to know before they leave your house? And all of those things that are important to you that you want your kids to know should be built into their responsibilities, of course, at age appropriate levels. Clearly, a 5-year-old is not going to need to know how to drive, but if that's a skill you want your child to have before they leave your house, and the opportunity comes up to go go-karting when they're 8, maybe that's a great first step. It's not a responsibility, but you know, it's that beginning with the end in mind kind of concept, okay? So I again have to say that I go much more in depth with all of this in the class, but I'm not going to do that because I'm trying to keep these videos in around the 10 to 15 minute range. So for more depth and information, join the class. You just go to my profile and shop.realcoke.com is there, or just go to shop.realcoke.com and sign yourself up for the class. Okay, so step 1 was to decide what your kids are responsible for. Step 2 is to figure out the plan. Okay, by that I mean you need to be specific at telling your kids what they're responsible for. You need to be as specific about when they need to have it done and when you will check that they're done. And you need to be specific about the consequences if they don't get it done. So, and I highly, highly recommend writing it all down. And if you're like me, that feels like a pain in the butt. It feels so dumb to like write down, okay, little Connor has to make his bed by Saturday at 6 p.m. If he doesn't, you know, he loses the ability to play his favorite game on Monday. It feels so dumb. And yet I can tell you that if your family is like my family, it will, or if your memory is like my memory, which maybe is the bigger problem, that it will come back. And then if you're like me, you'll be like, I don't remember exactly what I said. And then of course, kids being kids, they will take advantage of that and work it in their best interest, not throwing my children under the bus or anything, but I think that's kind of what they do. So I highly recommend that you write it down because it'll just save yourself stress. And there's no arguing with it. Like, here's what I told you and it's written down and we're done. So, okay. So step 1 was deciding what you want your kids to be responsible for. Step 2 was figuring out your plan. Now we move on to step 3, which in my opinion is the hardest step. And that is, at least it's the hardest for me, putting it all into practice. And I think that's the hardest because I know we all get busy, and the last thing, like at the end of the day when you're tired and you just want to sit on the couch and watch Real Housewives and sip a glass of wine, the last thing you want to do is go check if your kids did their chart or did their responsibilities. In our house we use a chart. And then they're not done, and then there's the fight, and then there's the consequences, and right? I'm not the only one, right? So, but guess what? Unfortunately, when we became moms, that's exactly what we need and they need. And they need it and we need it. We need it if we want to raise great kids. They need it because they need the consistency from us. So I want to take just a quick step back to step 2. When you're at step 2 and figuring out your plan, you need to be realistic. And go back and use your calendar. And that's why I start with the calendar in the Real Organized email class, because I feel like almost everything we do revolves around our calendars and our activities, our kids' activities, and all the things that we're keeping up with. So be realistic when you're making that plan in step 2. If weeknights are busy at your house, don't plan to check your kids' responsibilities on weeknights. Because Just lost my train of thought, which is why I have notes. Or if just certain nights are busy, don't tell your kids you're going to check charts on that night. It's okay, charts. I keep saying charts because that's what we use at our house to check responsibilities. So it's okay to say, I'm only checking your responsibilities on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, because those are the days that you can actually get to it. And in fact, it's better to do that. And I learned this working with a psychologist with one of my girls, and it's been the best advice I've ever gotten. That's because we need to set ourselves up for success. And for me and for my kids and for you and your kids, success equals consistency. And so if I'm telling my kids that I'm going to check their charts every Wednesday night, but every Wednesday night is super busy and I don't get to it except for 1 out of every 4 Wednesday nights, guess what happens? My kids learn that I'm most likely not going to check their charts on Wednesday night. And so then the one Wednesday when I actually check their charts, they're not done. And then it becomes this big fight and well, I didn't know you were checking it. And mostly it's my fault. It's not their fault. It's my fault because I wasn't being consistent. And that's where this being organized as a parent can help with your stress level, your kids' stress level, and just the overall peace of the house, because people know and kids know what to expect. Okay, so let's see here. I've gotten a little off track. Yeah, and the other part that's great about it is that you have, not only do you know what to expect, the kids know what to expect, but by thinking about what you want your kids to learn before they leave your house and implementing that within the responsibilities, you've also managed to plan ahead some. And I gotta say, it's, I don't know, maybe I say that a lot. Maybe it's just me. I really don't think it is, but sometimes seeing the big picture in parenting on a day-to-day basis, I find it really hard to do. So by being able to take a step out and say, okay, by the time my kids are done, I have a 16-year-old and she for the most part knows how to do laundry, but this year she's doing more laundry than she has in the past because I realized she's got 2 years left before she's out of the house and on her own. So I definitely need to make sure she knows how to do that. So it's been added to her chart versus just, the occasional, hey, help out kind of thing. Okay, I got a little off track there, sorry. Let me give you a couple of tips here. I think I said this already, but use your calendar when you're determining your plan because you want to be able to be consistent. And I gave that example. I used to say that I checked charts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. But it turns out that Wednesday nights, I never checked charts. And for the most part, on Monday nights, I didn't either. And so this year, when I redid charts, I said, hey girls, I'm only checking charts on Friday and Sunday. So those are the only 2 days that I actually check charts, and I do pretty much every single week except for holiday weeks when things are just messed up. And my kids know that, and they know that it's at 6:15 at night that they have to be done. And if they're not done, they know exactly what the consequence is. And it takes the emotion out of it for me. I don't like giving my kids consequences. So the fact that they know if they're not done, that XYZ is going to happen, it really puts it more on them. And I don't have to, in the moment, think of what the heck kind of punishment to give them. I don't know if you struggle with that, but I'm just I don't know what to do. Anyway, okay. The second thing is that I recommend that you have a visual that helps you and your kids remember. And you've heard me say it 15 times, but in our house it's a chart. And the charts are included in the printables package that comes with the gold package for the Real Organized email class. Or I also have them in a bundle in my shop.realcoke.com called the Home and Organization Bundle. I always get the name wrong. I don't think that's quite it. But anyway, the chart is great because it's a visual reminder, and you'll see some pictures there of how so it's got little rectangles that they can X off. I laminate mine. I put them on cardstock and then laminate them. And then they can just use a dry erase pen to mark off what they've done. And any days that they don't need to do those certain tasks, I actually take a Sharpie before I laminate it and color it in, so it makes it super obvious. I don't even have to do that day, and everybody sees it and knows. So, okay. Whew, right? You've made it through 3 big tasks in the Real Organized email class, and I want to make sure that you know that there are more details. There's pro tips, there's bonus ideas for getting real organized as a mom in the Real Organized email class. And so if you want access to all the goodness and the printable checklist that I have for each week also, sign up at shop.realcoke.com and get yourself further along on the path of becoming a real organized mom. And I absolutely know and stand 100% behind that you are going to be so glad that you took the class. And as I said a little bit earlier in this, so glad that the tasks only come once a week. It makes it just so much less overwhelming because you've got a week to get stuff implemented and to start feeling that you're getting in a rhythm with it before the next task comes. Okay, so just to finish up for today, the 3 things that you've learned so far are huge because you've tackled your calendar. You've now got a mom office, and after today, you're going to have a plan in place for your kids. And I'm telling you, those 3 things are huge and are going to help just lift that fog that you've felt in the past of just like this cloud of ugh as mothers. And it's going to help release some of that stress and that overwhelm that you've been feeling. And so this is where you begin to see organization as being freeing rather than like a prison. Some people really view organization as like this prison, and this is where you will really begin to feel that freedom. And it's going to help you stop living in that constant stress and worry and worse, feeling like you're failing as a mom. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. So that's the worst. All right, so go get it. You can absolutely do this, and I cannot wait. You can totally get organized with your parenting, even though that sounds like the weirdest thing to say. You can do it. And I absolutely cannot wait to hear about it. I would love it if you would. You can either DM me or you can load a picture on Instagram and tag me at RealCoke, or use the hashtag RealOrganizedMom, and I will see it, and I will hopefully get to share it too. I would absolutely love to have some success stories to share in my stories. So go for it. I cannot wait to hear all about it, and I will see you tomorrow with tip number 4.